Welcome to Anthologic, the TV anthology podcast. I am your host, Mark. Join me and my guests on phase 2 of this project, where we're on a journey to explore the good, the bad, and the odd of TV anthology shows, season by season. Shows with a strong element of horror, science fiction, and mystery suspense drama. Join us as we slip through the cracks of reality to approach the extremes of experience, where we can peruse the stories and art of a sinister fairground of strange and wonderful rides. There is no going back. Don't say you haven't been warned. Welcome to this episode of Anthologic Phase 2 with your host Mark, and I am again joined by Scott and Stephen from Real Britannia. Hi guys.
Morning.
Hello.
I'm hoping my selections, or our selections, because sometimes we discuss it, so far have been pleasing. I can't see how this one isn't pleasing. We are covering Tales of the Unexpected, Roald Dahl's Tales of the Unexpected, because there is another series called Tales of the Unexpected by Quinn Martin. Can you believe it?
Okay.
From the sort of 77, only a couple of years before. Right. But that was a bit of a dud and didn't get go anywhere. Nowhere near the cultural impact of Tales of the Unexpected. Both in the UK and worldwide, actually. This was a pretty successful series. So we're covering series 1 of Tales of the Unexpected, but we're only doing the first 4 episodes. There are 9 in the entire series, but we wanted to kind of focus on... We're going to do it in 2 parts, in essence.
Yeah,
and this first part, we've done 4 of the 9. And next part, we'll do the remaining 5. But we chose to do 4 so we could just talk about the show more generally in this episode. And then in the next one, it'll be much more about just the episodes, I imagine. You've both seen this. You're familiar with this. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, very. Particularly this first season, I must have rewatched it 3 or 4 times, possibly 5 actually. It's my favourite season out of the whole run, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the one season where it's all Roald Dahl stories, because they started bringing in other writers, and way more other writers as it went on. As Roald Dahl actually mentions in one of the intros to one of these episodes, he says, I only write about 2 a year. He's a very slow writer. So even though he has got these really big, wonderful collections of short stories, he does them very slowly. And in fact, this one dates... The first one of this is from 48, so he was doing them in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on.
He said that it's more difficult in some respects doing, and this is I've heard from other authors as well, sometimes more difficult to do short stories because you've basically not just do you have a limitation on the amount of time to tell the story condensed wise, but people are less bought in, so you need to, every single sentence needs to matter and needs to keep them on board. So that's sometimes an extra challenge that belies the amount of content versus how much work needing to be done with it. So it's understandable that and as you said, this series is the better one. It's although there are some of my favourites are elsewhere in future series, the actual series themselves are not as consistent with regards to the quality of the episodes. Whereas this, including the ones we're not going to be talking about today, but we'll next time around, they are a better quality each and every episode, whereas others there's some duff ones. But yes, Tales of the Unexpected. Although I didn't watch it when it first was released, because I was only 3 when the first episode came out.
Yeah, yeah,
I just rubbed that one in. The Certainly it's been reshown on British television so often, and particularly before we got multiple channels and streaming and etc. It was a go-to a lot of the time to fill schedules, and still now, like I think Sky, it's just showing them sporadically, just random in a random order. So you see a lot of them repeatedly, and yeah, I mean, some of these I've seen more often than others, but I've certainly seen all of them before. And people of a certain age, you mentioned Tales of the Unexpected. Obviously, the first thing that I think of is the dancing woman at the beginning.
Yep.
And I think they're somewhat maligned, maybe because of later episodes. They're maligned with regards to the twists
yeah.
in the stories being um, a bit more ludicrous or ill-fitting or whatever. Whereas I don't feel that's the case in these earlier episodes. I feel that it is more later on when other people
Yeah, I'm
have got
kind of
hold of the
looking
format.
forward. I'm kind of looking forward to getting into those because I think I'm really only that familiar with, say, the first four series, something like that, and then I kind of fell off, life and other stuff going on.
How dare you?
Um, yeah, but Roald Dahl, like, is familiar, very familiar to British public because of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and the Giant Peach, all of those books as children. Because of this, right? Tales of the Unexpected. I remember picking up a book went with this series, which I think didn't necessarily correspond to what was in the actual first season series. I think there were so many other stories in it. But I did enjoy though reading those quite a lot. They were repackaged ones of earlier collections. Kiss Kiss was a famous collection of his. Now I've got on Kindle, I've got the complete stories of Roald Dahl, Volume 1 and Volume 2. So I've got the whole lot in two
Somebody's
neat
doing well out there.
packages. Well, it's Kindle, right? So
All right.
Mark, how do they sort of compare to what we see on screen? What's his
quite
style of
well,
writing for
quite
an
well.
adult? Yeah.
Well, he does some of them not so much, and we can talk about this in specific episodes. But let's talk about, for example, comparing, say, Man of the South, right?
Yeah.
I'm not getting into the episode, but yeah, but it's written in such a way as it's perfectly filmic, right?
Okay. Okay.
So that one is the screenwriter had the easiest of jobs, in my opinion. He was
Right.
just lifting the dialogue. The dialogue was pretty solid, functional but solid, and sort of delivered. Some of the others in this, there was a very much more. It needed to be lifted and converted and redone.
Hmm.
Either because the story itself just did not lend itself to being adapted directly. Because, for example, William and Mary, most of the story is a letter from William to Mary telling
Oh,
her
right.
all about the processes. That's no good as a conversion.
No, no.
Other ones like Lamb to the Slaughter, the story's much more linear when
Mhm.
Roald Dahl wrote it and could have been made that way without any problems. However, they chose to use a flashback mechanism to
Mm.
add a bit of mystery. So that was a deliberate choice to change the sort of thing. But Roald Dahl does write in a fairly direct and easy way. I mean, if you've read his kids' stories, you'll know that you could literally film what he has written and dialogue is used, and it'll be just fine. He's that kind of writer, right? He's a
Yeah.
fairly functional writer, and he doesn't mind. He relishes the dark side a few. Let's put it that way. Both in his kids and his
Oh,
Tales.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I did watch this when it first aired. I was 14. I would have been 14 when these ones aired.
Mm.
Now I just wanted to remind you, Scott, you and I actually did cover Man of the South for my Anthologic Phase 1.
We
Do you know
did.
how long ago that
Oh,
was?
it's
Did I
got to be
shock you?
pre-COVID. Got to be.
No, no,
It
it
wasn't
wasn't.
that far back. Okay.
No, it's 2020. January
Yeah.
2020, so 6 years ago.
Wow.
It doesn't seem that long ago, but so you and I have discussed it, and I was watching when I was watching. I said, "No, I don't remember this." Oh, but I haven't watched it in 4 years, and I thought, "No, I have watched it because I'm just But yes, I quite enjoyed this. as we tend to do, just want to talk about Inside Number Nine. You can feel this is a proud parent of Inside Number Nine. It definitely feels that way to me. What do you think? What do you guys think?
William and Mary has got definite Inside Number Nine vibes to it.
I mean,
And
they could redo William and Mary as an Inside Number Nine,
yeah,
couldn't they?
it's all there. All the elements are there that the Inside Number Nine guys admired and loved about 70s anthology TV series.
Hmm.
Especially when we reviewed Krampus, the Krampus episode that we talked about,
Yes.
that
Oh yeah.
that used studio bound settings with those 70s cameras, and we were talking about the way the lighting does that comet tail effect and all of that. Look, it's all in here. It's
It's all
lifted
there. Yeah.
directly from these four episodes.
Because there's quite, I mean, it's mostly VT. When it's inside, it's
Yeah,
videotape, and when it's outside, it's film.
yeah.
That's a sort of standard. We're familiar with it from the stuff we've already done on Doctor Who and things
Mm,
like Blake Seven and shows like that, right?
yeah,
They all
absolutely is.
kind of do that kind of
It
thing.
is exactly what Inside Number Nine pays homage to. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
It does. It takes it, and obviously the darkness and the comedy are there in a number of Inside Number Nine episodes, which aren't as often the comedy in Tales of the Unexpected is unintentional, shall we say? But the twists that they have, particularly in some, well, like the man from the south, that just at the reveal, right at the last 20 seconds or whatever, that it is something that is very much in keeping with Inside Number Nine, where as I say, they do twists upon twists, but
Mm, yeah.
absolutely you can see, and I don't think they've shied away from saying that this is one of their influences and one of the things which they watched and rewatched and actually led to them having such a fertile amount of work.
yeah. Before we get into the episodes, last thing I want to mention really is the look and sound of this, and what I mean is the opening titles really and the closing titles. Um, very striking, kind of landed, and it just it takes you back to these episodes when you hear that music, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Th-
that
There's a bit of,
fairgroundy carousel
yeah,
quality.
there's a bit of a running theme going through all the stuff we've reviewed with you on Anthologic, mate. We've all said that the opening credit titles are so strong
Mm,
and almost quite uneasy in a way. I think it was Dead of Night had that really creepy sort of
yeah,
negative going through the forest thing, didn't it? Beasts had a different opening credit sequence, each one with different soundscapes for each one. And we've commented that, as a setup, the opening credits are vital in these sort of things. And this is just so iconic now. It
yeah.
really is.
I think anthology shows tend to do this. I mean,
Mm,
Inside Number Nine does it, and their music cue's much shorter,
yeah.
but it's still dun, 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 just
Mm,
takes you there.
yeah.
The best show, the great classic shows, their music is a sort of liminal gateway into the show itself. It
Mm,
just
yeah.
gets you
Yeah.
ready. Twin Peaks is a very famously.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
get that music, you know what you're going to get. The Prisoner, and things like that, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I Claudius, you know what you get.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, Tales of the Unexpected is top tier in my opinion in
Mm,
terms of this. Obviously, the dancing woman is quite striking, but there's also the spinning set of tarot cards, and it's got a carousel quality. The whole thing's got a fairground.
creepy fairground. Yeah.
As I sometimes use in my intros, a sinister fairground,
Mm,
a strange and wonderful rides, right?
yeah.
So this is that. Okay, let's move on to the first one. Man from the, I keep saying Man of the South, Man from the South, originally called Collector's Item when it was first published in 1948 in a magazine, American magazine. And indeed, this was converted in an episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, believe it or
Yes.
not.
Isn't it
Yeah,
Steve
Steve
McQueen?
McQueen,
Steve
yeah,
McQueen and Peter
Lorre.
Lorre. How about
That's
that?
right, yeah, Peter Lorre, yeah.
I was tempted to watch it, but decided not to. I didn't want to be influenced.
I watched it after,
You watched it
and
after.
I've
How
seen
did
it
you
before.
find it? How did you find
Well,
it?
I've seen it before, but not for probably about 2 years at least, if not
Right.
longer. So I was aware of it and had, an image in my mind of the two of them, but without it impacting upon my watch of this. However, going back and then watching it, certainly I would say that the it's better done is the Hitchcock one. It's one of the few episodes, in the Alfred Hitchcock Hour or Alfred Hitchcock Presents, whichever one it is. It's one of the ones that he actually did himself.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
didn't do
Man,
it.
that's a standout.
He only did a dozen or so, I think, of them. But this is one of them, and it is better. And I mean, whether that's because of the actors in it, but also I just think the interpretation of the story is done, although it's almost that hits the same beats. It just feels like it's done better, whereas this, in comparison, does feel like it's got the cheaper British element to it.
Well,
Unfortunately.
I presume the Hitchcock ones are done on film because they
Mm,
usually are, whereas this has got that videotape. So it adds a slightly fuzzy quality. However, this one that remains one of them ones that you just remember, for me anyway. Once you've seen it, there's just something about it that kind of rings a bell. Now you can't remember the specific details necessarily. I always remember Jose Ferrer. Always remember Jose Ferrer in it. The
Yeah.
rest of the cast I forget and then
Oh
remember
no,
when I rewatch.
I didn't remember until we watched it that last time, Mark, and we spoke about it. Katie Gerardo as the
Yeah, and
wife.
she's very distinctive too. I always remember
Yeah,
her.
because
Yes.
she's the love interest or the ex love interest in High Noon with Gary
Yeah,
Cooper,
indeed.
and so sort of classic Hollywood. This is the appeal of Tales of the Unexpected. The stars that have got attracted to the roles in
mm,
this are incredible as you go through and you look at some of the names coming up. Like even Joseph Cottle appears in one. All these
Yeah,
great Hollywood
yeah,
actors in it.
absolutely.
So
It
yeah,
always struck me there was two shows in the 70s, British shows, which attracted all sorts of unbelievable talent, and that was Tales of the Unexpected and The Muppet Show.
yes,
For
yeah.
some reason, both of those just got really good,
And the
casting
Muppet Show
going.
was filmed over here as well, which is even more
Yeah,
surprising that they
yeah,
would come
it
over
the
is.
specially
British,
to
yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
But the
Katie
link
Gerard.
between, I was
Sorry,
just
go on.
going to say the link, obviously, before we miss it, the link between this and Twin Peaks.
Yeah,
Um,
Michael Onkey.
yeah, who
and
plays
Jose.
Jerry.
Well, if you said David Lynch, Jose Ferrer was also in June as well, right?
Oh, well, there you
So
go.
there's two connections with David Lynch. One with Twin Peaks, Michael Unkeen, very young Michael Unkeen, but
Mm,
still the same kind of presence. Just going back to Kate Gerardo, though, I always remembered her. She's so striking looking.
mm.
She's always reminds me of Dorothy Lamour a
Very,
bit. She's got a
yes,
touch of
yes.
that about her.
Yeah.
She was also, I've seen her recently in a film. I watched a Elvis, not a very good one, but an Elvis film called Stay Away Joe, and she appears as his stepmother, I think.
Brilliant.
Yes, but she's in all sorts, right?
Yeah,
Katie Gerardo,
yeah.
westerns, a lot of
A
westerns.
lot of westerns and then a lot of things like Heart to Heart and Magnum and stuff like
Mm,
that. I think in later
yeah.
life she appeared in. Yeah.
Right, she's a striking looking woman. In this one, we also get Pamela Stevenson as Kathy, a very early turn from Pamela Stevenson,
Yeah,
and Michael Onkeen, who I wouldn't have known from Adam at this point. I think he was in Slapshot, the film
Slapshot's the only
Slapshot.
thing I
yeah,
knew him from. Yeah, but
Yeah,
not.
I only know him from three things: this,
Mm,
Slapshot, and Twin Peaks. I've got to be
yeah,
honest, but I know he's considered quite a good actor and he's in other stuff, but I can't recall ever seeing it.
mm,
Um, so yeah, yeah. So, but they were filming in Jamaica, right? I
yeah.
couldn't work out, but I still made it look kind of cheap though.
it really didn't do it any favors. That could have been filmed, on Canberra Sands and pretended to have been Jamaica because it really didn't look that exotic to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
when has British TV ever done that kind of thing?
Well, some of them 60s, well, maybe not. I was going to
No.
say like the Avengers or the Prisoner,
Well, you
maybe.
wanna see Red Dwarf where they're meant to be in paradise and on this beach, and it's actually real.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, it's
and the freezing,
close.
they had to get every between shots. They had to wrap them up in foil blankets and give them hot drinks because they were freezing cold. And they had to put
Yeah.
a tint not just to turn the sky blue,
Yeah.
than it was, but also to try and take the blue out their faces.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I think that's the perfect opening episode though. Let's hit the viewers hard because they don't know what they're going to expect, obviously, the title says it all. But if we do a big budget on location, couple of famous faces in there, people would have recognized Katie Gerardo possibly, and Jose Ferrer, and there's like it's the perfect opening episode to really strike hard and get
Yeah.
people talking.
Yeah, I
Now,
think out of the ones that there are in that first series, I think this is the best to open with,
Yeah.
especially at the time, like you say, in late 70s, where they were trying to give a bit of exotic mystique to
Mm,
try and draw people in.
yeah, I quite like the dialogue in this about the old man kind of persuades, swerves them into this bet that really you shouldn't really be taking, right?
mm,
Which is pretty much lifted from the short story. It's not
okay.
that much different. So, as I said, the screenwriter got had a very easy time with this. Now, in this series, series one, um, this one I haven't got the details with me. I'm trying to find them, but I can't find them. It had a different screenwriter. Oh, it was by Kevin Goldstein Jackson, was the person that adapted this. But the rest of the series was adapted by. Uh, Sorry, I haven't got the name to hand. Robin, someone I think it is, or
Okay.
Robert. But so of the nine, eight of them was adapted by the same guy. Apart from this one was the exception. This one was the exception. Um, Quite exciting episode, striking. I think it was one of them water cooler ones, so everyone talked about it the next day or at school. Um,
I was 10 years old. It was my final year of junior school. And back then my bedtime was 10 o'clock. So I missed it. And
yeah, it was
everybody
late.
was talking about it on Monday morning in the playground.
So,
But
except you.
luckily, except me, but luckily, my best mate down the road had one of the very first video recorders and had
Oh,
recorded
okay.
it. So every Saturday, I would watch the previous week's one round his house until I went to senior school in the September, and I was allowed to stay up to watch them for the rest of the series from carrying on.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
fond
yes.
memories of this, watching this one again and again. Yeah,
You and your dirty
Oh,
videos.
yeah.
I also saw that apparently they did this again in Alfred Hitchcock Presents in the 1985 redo.
Mm.
They did Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and in that one, get this,
Go on.
Carlos was John Huston. the,
Oh,
the girl was Melanie Griffith. Stephen Bauer was they call him the gambler.
yeah,
Stephen Bauer, Al Pacino's mate in Scarface,
yeah.
who I think was married to Melanie Griffiths at this time. And Tippi Hedren appeared as the waitress. Kim Novak was the
No, so
woman.
there's a real Hitchcock homage there. That is amazing.
That is
Right.
amazing. But I haven't seen that one either. And
I haven't
No.
either. No,
I
I
would
haven't.
have, oh, again, I wouldn't have watched it because I didn't want to be overly influenced
Yeah, yeah.
for this one. Maybe I should have, though, because then we can compare and contrast.
Mm,
Yeah, I feel this is a good reflection of the written story. The Kathy, the woman, is underwritten in the story, and she's underwritten in this. Um, the only criticism I have really of this episode, I think it's a very striking episode, is I feel they could have built a little more tension up between each lighter flick. It was kind
yeah.
of click, click, click. It was a bit like that. But I like the whole setup of now we tie your hand to. I like the fact he just hammered nails into the table.
Didn't care, did he? It was
Yeah,
just
didn't care. Wasn't a
That
breadboard. Just hammered it into
the just the mechanism of tying is better in this one than it is in the Hitchcock one, where basically it's just two nails and a small loop of string across, whereas this it's actually properly tied down. There's no way you could
uh,
move it. So certainly, in that way that they've elaborated, but um,
yeah.
yeah, you're right. More tension between the lighter flicks
I
and
mean, there could have been a few shots of him holding a knife over the finger, for example.
hmm,
We didn't see any of that. Maybe there was a reason. Maybe there was like, no, we can't show that on telly.
yeah,
That's too much. I don't know. I did like the fact that he was quite. He obviously knew what he was doing when he was like tying the hand down. Like, oh yeah, this guy's done this loads of times.
It's almost like a surgeon preparing, isn't it?
Yes,
Almost like
yes.
clinical. Yeah, yeah.
I like to the maid. Bring me a large, sharp kitchen knife. Chop, chop.
And I like the way
Chop,
she's
chop.
counting on her fingers as he's saying, I want three
Yeah.
items. She's going, okay, yes,
And he
okay.
goes, "Oh, I just happen to have some string." Of course he does. Of course he does. Usually you'd laugh at such a TV shortcut, but yeah, this guy. I'm surprised he hasn't got a hammer and nails and a knife
Yeah,
himself
fully
already. But
prepared. Yeah.
yes, this, yeah, the twist is kind of fun. Now it's weird because I remember misremembered this. I kind of thought we saw that she was holding the keys up in front of her in her hand, but they
Yeah.
don't. They film the hand separately. Obviously, it's a different person
Yeah.
holding the keys. But I just misremember that bit. But
Well, it's,
yes,
yeah, because it's one of the claimed goofs on this is that when she comes in, you can see that she doesn't have the hand that you later see. So, but
oh no, that's interesting because when I watched it, was like, oh yeah, they've made it so you can't really distinctly see her hand. But
The
yeah,
left hand is quite hidden as she walks in. It's hidden by the
yes,
dress. Does she pick up the keys with the left hand or the right? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
left, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if I was watching for it, and the left hand is quite hidden by the dress as she walks through, and you can see her right hand quite clearly.
yeah. I like they changed it to a Jaguar. I think in the original story it was like a Caddy or something
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, he claims
Um,
he's got a thing for convertibles, and so yeah, um, uh, a convertible Cadillac. I think you're right. But yeah, changing it to a Jag obviously ticks a box for English people, doesn't it? But, it's
yes, yeah. So rather good one. Now I'm just interested in your opinion on the quality of these episodes. Would you say they were all great? How does this stack compared to the others for you? This first one, the other four. I'm talking. Sorry, the other three. I'm talking about.
the
Is it
first
top?
one's first one sets a very high bar. Um, and re-watching the four of them again last night, without revealing too much before we talk about them, but I think Lamb to the Slaughter may be my favourite out of the four.
Okay.
Mm,
What about you, Stephen? What do you think?
I think that the money spent on this episode didn't really get the value. It's although it's not a bad episode, I would put it out of the four that we've watched for this review. I would put it probably three, the third.
ooh,
It's not my first or second favorite.
Yeah, for me, this is the top one. I think it's because it's the
okay.
most memorable. I just remember it so
Mm,
distinctly. Not and weirdly, not all of it, like who the actors, but the whole dynamic and the feel and that. I really, really enjoy this one. I enjoyed it all four immensely.
yeah,
I'll rewatch them and realize that there's one here that for various reasons doesn't quite work as well as the others, but honestly, to rate, just rate and I asked you to sort of estimate this, so
mm,
it's my own fault. I feel like they're a bag. They are a bag. They're a kind of level, great enjoyment. I enjoyed first watch through of all of them. I enjoyed them all kind of equally.
yeah,
Second watch through was one that I felt was lesser for various reasons. Though I did see things in it I didn't see in the first time that made me think it's not as bad as it could have been. There's actually some good stuff still in it. But yeah, I like honestly, I find it difficult to. Well, let me show me cards. It's easier. Man in the South, Mrs. Bixby, and the Colonel's Coat, and Lamb to the Slaughter. I just feel a elite kind of level.
I think all
Whereas,
four go together. If you were to sit and
yeah,
watch them in like a 2 hour period,
yeah,
they're almost four different genres with four different twists, obviously.
yeah.
And it's a great 2 hours entertainment when you watch all four of them like this together. It's like
Well,
watching four episodes of Tales of Inside Number Nine. You know, you're going to get four separate genres almost, but four equally enjoyable episodes.
and indeed, I was intending to watch one a night, but just
Mm,
ended up watching four
yeah,
back to back in the end because I just enjoyed it
it
so much.
works though, doesn't it?
And I
It's a
got
nice
such a
little
kick
yeah,
out of it. I thought
yeah,
they were all really, really enjoyable. All
mm,
of them were enjoyable. There was
yeah.
none I was like a bit bored of this isn't really work. None of that.
No,
It's just um there were certain things in William and Mary that I had a bit of an issue with, and weirdly, the second one, she was like, "Oh yeah, I can see stuff I didn't notice before. That's quite good." Yeah. So, okay, let's move on to any last thoughts on Man from the South?
Just a strong opener, mate. A very good strong opener for a brand new series. Can you imagine people's reactions seeing that in '79? You know, oh my God. Like you said, it's a water cooler moment, isn't it, on the Monday morning, going back. Quick question. Was this being screened on Sundays originally or Saturdays? Can you
I
remember?
remember it being Sunday night.
That's what I thought, about 10 o'clock, yeah? Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
yes,
yeah,
I remember it on Sunday
yeah.
nights, which was
Don't
a
know.
real
I'll have been in
pickle.
bed by then.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sunday
no.
nights was it was a weird thing on on London Weekend Telly because they usually put comedies and stuff on.
Whoops Apocalypse and things like that were like 10
Yeah,
o'clock, weren't
no,
they?
honestly,
Yes, yeah.
agony,
Agony with Maureen
things like
Lipman,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So this was a bit of a change up, and it was welcome. And then
Mm,
it was old Melvin Bragg doing his thing as well.
that's right, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the second one, Mrs. Bixby and the Colonel's Coat.
Mm.
Um, this first appeared as a written story in 1959 in a magazine called Nugget. And it's a variation, apparently, of an anecdote that went back to the 30s. So he was kind of writing down some oral history here. And he makes the point, actually, when he introduced the episode, it took him ages to get this right. He said, and he talks about how long it takes him to write a story. And he says this one took him the equivalent of 600 hours to work it, which is amazing because it's a really short story.
I can imagine trying to get the mechanics of what the deception is
Yes.
accurate without.
Oh, yeah, you got to get the very last bit right to
Yeah.
give it a proper kick,
I
right?
can I can imagine him pondering over that quite intensely, thinking, how is this woman going to deceive her husband, and then how does the twist work afterwards? It's quite a precise process, I could imagine, for him to get it right, and especially in a short story where you haven't got the luxury of expanding too much. You've got to get that really spot on, basically. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's and the original story was set in America, so they transposed it to sort of, I don't know, man, because sometimes it sounds Irish, and some I couldn't work out. There was a movement across water, so it was either
She goes
England
to
to
Ireland,
Ireland,
Yeah, she goes
Ireland
to
to England,
Ireland.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah. Because the Colonel's Irish, so that
yeah.
kind of makes sense, right? Um, yeah, so this is Julie Harris, who, in terms of spooky stuff, is quite the alumni. You know, she was in um, Haunting of Hill. I always get this wrong. Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting.
The
Sorry, the
Haunting,
movie, The
yeah,
Haunting.
yeah.
And she was the original film Sally Bowles as well. That's something.
Was she? But I'm a
Yes,
camera.
I Am a Camera. That's her.
Yeah,
Um,
Was she in East of Eden as well?
I
one
think
of those.
she was in a lot of films in the
Like that,
end.
yeah.
It's weird because I could have sworn she was in a few, at least one Stephen King movie, but I've looked for
Yeah,
her filmography and I can't find it. So I don't know. I must be conflating her with someone else.
lots of musicals, lots of stage stuff. Really, Julie
Yeah.
Harris. Yeah.
Yes. The other thing is when I watched this, I misremembered who the Colonel was. For some reason, I
Mm.
thought it was Ronald Fraser. A
Oh,
famous actor from the
yeah.
70s, a famous character actor from the 70s TV. But it wasn't. It was Richard Green, the original Robin Hood.
Robin Hood. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something. Yes, and Michael Hordern, of course,
Excellent, Michael Hordern.
as
Always good in
the
everything. Yeah.
bubbling
Yeah.
sort of dentist.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, essentially, this woman tells her husband she goes and visits Aunt Maud every 3 months. In the written story, it's monthly.
Okay.
But yeah, okay, if you're going across to Ireland, it's probably those days. It was probably quite the trip, I imagine.
Yeah.
So she's going to visit Aunt Maud, and he's like, "Oh yes," and he appears to be like hard working. Oh yeah, I've got to work late and all this. And we get, I quite like how this is adapted because there's a lot of little bits of business, like showing his receptionist stroke assistant is mad about dentistry, so brush, 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 5 minutes and all this. That made me laugh. And I can't remember the actress's name, but she was very good.
I,
She's very good in other stuff. I've
shall I
seen
tell
it.
you what she's in? The thing I remember her most from. It's an
Yeah, go on.
early Only Fools and Horses with Grandad still in it.
Hmm.
And she is a social worker or somebody from the council that comes to assess the flat and Grandad because he's had a fall or he's something's happened to try and get them a bungalow.
Yeah, and Rodney's in somehow in the council, and he or something got
Yeah, it's
involved
something
with the
like that. Yeah, and it's
tenants
that episode.
association.
That's how I remember. And I think she starts dating Del Boy, as most of the lead
Yeah,
women
until it
did
all
in
goes
her.
completely wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah. I remember her from that, and I also remember her playing Marion, a character called Marion, I think it was, in a really dotty sort of character in a comedy show called Waiting for God. She
Oh, she in
was
that was
Oh
basically a
she?
yeah, yeah.
mad housewife,
Oh,
essentially, who hates all these old people, right? But yeah, she was rather good in this, even though her part was very small. She was, she stood out. She stood out.
mm.
Um, so it turns out Julie Harris is going to visit the Colonel, and they have a dirty weekend together. Oh, it made me laugh. The Colonel had a picture of some other woman, which he put into a drawer, and then he pulled out a picture of her
I'd never
just before
picked
she
up on that
arrived.
until last night. Yeah, I'd never
Yeah,
noticed that before.
and
Mm.
He's got a whole, I don't know, stable. Is that the right?
probably, yeah. I mean, it's it's not even hidden properly, is it? I mean, all the risk is she goes and opens one of those drawers looking for
Drawers, yeah.
for some tweezers or something over, and she opens
Oh,
that
I'm,
drawer, and there's a stack of the things
oh,
there.
I'm sure it's like, oh yeah, that's my cousin, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be
yeah.
all that, wouldn't it? Um,
But it's odd that this one, it's um, for me, it actually hinges upon that chauffeur last
mm,
minute remembering and chasing after her to give her the gift.
yeah,
If the chauffeur hadn't remembered in time, the rest of the entire thing wouldn't have happened. It's like they say about Star Wars. If it weren't for them not shooting down the pod with R2 and C3PO in, then the everything else that happens in the films never none of it would have happened. And that's the same with this. If the chauffeur hadn't remembered, that would have been the
yeah.
entire plot for it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
It's that in the written story, he gives it to her and asks her not to open it until she's on her way back, if I remember rightly. Or he gives it to her and he says, "And there's an envelope, but I don't want you to open it until you're on the way back." Where it's basically, I can't see you anymore for my own reasons. We always said it'd only work if it was suited both of us. And our feeling this is like, because I don't know if you noticed the picture he put hidden was of a younger woman.
Yeah.
Mm.
Maybe it's like she's had her day now, or something like that. I don't know. It's not really implied, but if you were paying attention, you could infer that, I guess.
It's like you
Um,
said, is it a different one every weekend? You don't know.
yeah, who
Flying in from
knows?
everywhere. Who
Who
knows?
knows? Who knows? But having said that, he does actually. He's at the hunt. It starts with we see the colonel at a hunt with another huntsman,
Mm.
and he says, "Oh, I've got to go now." In the middle of the hunt, he goes, "Oh, was it Aunt
Oh,
Maud?"
what's
And
everybody
I'm not
knows?
sure if he's saying it as in a knowing wink, wink
I,
kind of
Oh, I think
way.
so. Yeah, I
yeah.
think so. That's why he says, "Oh, you, something like you young lads, or something." Well, not that he is young, but he says something along the lines of, "Oh, you young men with your, play, or whatever." He definitely knows that
Yeah.
it's a euphemism for
Yeah,
going
yeah,
having a play.
yeah, yeah. And essentially, she's got to think of a way to. He does say, "Oh, tell your husband it's a Christmas present an early Christmas present from our Maud." And early on, it's set up that she's poor and lives in
Yeah.
a one room, so she's not gonna, so she
It's,
cannot
it's the
do
mechanics of
that.
this. It's
Yeah,
exactly that. And also Michael Horden is set up as being very dotty, as you said, a bit sort of bumbling, very sort of unaware of what's going on with his
yeah,
wife, and very busy and absorbed in his work. But when we get to the twist, it is the complete
Right,
opposite.
opposite.
Yeah.
They deserve each other, these
Yeah.
two, basically.
And also the separate beds gives us the impression that it's a loveless marriage as well. Because
Well, there's a further impression of that. I want to get. They
mm,
lie down to sleep because he goes, what she's, oh, I can't remember her first name. He calls her and she's like, she looks very concerned. Yes, like, what do
oh
you
yeah,
want?
there's
And
really
he goes,
creepy.
have you brushed your teeth? And she's like,
Yeah,
yes, I brushed my teeth.
yeah.
Goes to sleep. She's thinking, does it, what's he want?
Mm.
It's like that. Marriage, eh?
Oh
Marriage.
yeah,
Um, so where she comes up with this scheme that, if she takes it to a pawnbroker and pretends she found the ticket, then she can get it and then doesn't need to explain it, right? Which is
yeah,
a clever scheme. I did like, even if it was short, I did like the pawnbroker shop stuff. That was the guy playing the pawnbroker was very good. How
mm.
much do you want? She keeps going, oh, I wish I had a ring. She's like coming up with all these flustered excuses because, how much do you want, lady? Do you
Yeah.
want it on the ticket, lady? And it's all this.
Do you
It's
think he
so
knew
used to.
what she was sort of playing at, or
Well,
because
even if he did, I don't think he cared.
no? But I just
Uh,
don't think he wanted any comebacks, did he? If it all went
Yeah.
horribly wrong.
It's up to you. He says, in my experience, you always puts on the
Hmm.
light. You put your address and you put. It's up to you, though, lady. You know.
Yeah.
yeah, it was. He wanted to just do it quick, do it right, and not have all the flannel that she was giving. He
Yeah.
just wanted, just let's just do it, and you don't need to, be making up some story. But obviously she had a different
Mm.
idea in her head, so
Yeah.
guilt, obviously.
Mm.
Yeah, so yeah, and she's in a rush, I think, as well to get home. And she basically asked for £50, but nothing on the ticket, nothing written down in the book about what it
Yeah.
is and who she is, right?
Mm.
And then as soon as she gets home and then fussing around, he goes, "Who says the English can't make martinis or something like that?" And he makes her a martini, and she says, "Oh, look at this! I found this in the cab. I thought it was a lottery ticket or something, but have a look." And he explains what it is. And like she doesn't know what a pawnbroker is, right? He explains all the mechanics, which might be for overseas, I guess, or people don't use pawnbrokers. I don't know. He explained some of the mechanics, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
It was. There was something, wasn't it? Because she's obviously an American, isn't she? And I don't know. I don't know what it was. I mean, pawnbrokers must work in the same
that
sort of
now you
way.
say that, I couldn't work out if she was supposed to be American or Irish. I've got to be honest.
Oh. Well, he actually calls her a foreigner at one point. So it was, darling, you're a
Yeah,
foreigner.
so yes, so but her accent sounded Irish.
Okay.
Did I
Mm.
miss it, Stephen? What do you think? Did you pick up?
Well, I mean, I think that she was meant to be American, but certainly her Irish accent was more Irish than Richard Green's was. Um,
Yeah, and it would
but
explain why she's got an Irish
but
aunt as well, right?
this is it. But then pawnbrokers, I mean, they have them in the United States and they have them
Yeah.
in, as far as
Yeah,
I'm aware, in Ireland as well. But
yeah,
I think it was trying to show more her naivety that he considered her just a silly woman that didn't understand things, and that's why he then had the excuse for taking over and saying, "No, I'll go redeem it," and also say that it's not a place for you to go into, which obviously too late for that. Um, so yeah, I think that was building towards that patriarchal sort of
yeah,
taking over
yeah,
and taking it away from her, which she couldn't really fully stop without it being that she revealed herself.
yeah. And
She couldn't
it
go with
based
him because obviously
no,
the
because the
pawnbroker would
pawnbroker would
recognize her.
recognize it,
Mm,
right? Yeah, because that is written explicitly in the story. She says maybe I could go with him. Oh, I can't because he'll recognize me. I can't do that. I've got because her husband insists on going to get it, doesn't he?
mm.
I just want to go back again to the scene where he's doing the dentistry and talking to Miss Pulteney and sort of saying, how many strokes should it be? And she says, 5 strokes, up, inside out, all this. And I like the blokes going, I think the feeling's coming back. And he just,
Carries on
that was like
going.
the trip. That was kind of funny. That
Yeah.
did make me laugh. But yeah, then she phones up and sort of says, "Did you get it?" He goes, "Yes, I've got it." And he's going, "Well, no, actually, we don't hear him, do we? We hear her." She's sort of saying, "Tell me what it is." Okay, is it a hat? Is it something for a woman? Oh, I've got to come and find it. She just wants the mink, right? I mean, it look the coat. I mean, the coat looks like a really good mink,
Oh
but
God,
I
yeah,
don't know
yeah.
about these things. I
Mm.
don't really know about these.
Yeah, you
Um,
say that.
it's pure tabby. Yeah. Okay. Um, So she turns up and he's sort of close your eyes and all this and gives her this manky little couple of tabbies stitched
He's
together kind of thing. Oh, this is worth a few £100. And he's even going, don't expect a Christmas present. I wasn't going to spend 50 on Christmas anyways and all this. And she's
the
like,
good point
"Eh."
about this point of the story is we are thinking now, has the pawnbroker cheated the husband?
Mm.
Indeed, and that
Yeah,
again is in the written story.
yeah.
It's like,
Oh right,
oh,
okay.
it's because final thoughts as she's going to leave is,
Mm.
I'm going to kill that pawnbroker.
Ah, right, yeah, yeah.
We've been done and all
Yeah.
this.
Mm.
And of course, we get the Miss Pulteney's going to lunch. And did you notice the weird leering bloke in the waiting room? I don't know what he was. I don't know. He looked like he had no teeth for one thing. Did you notice
To be
him? An old fella.
to be fair with lots of TV series in the 70s particularly, but also before then. In the background, there's always seems to be a leering bloke who's not, it's just their
Just the
natural
thing. Just
disposition.
the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But
Union
I like.
rules, yeah, there had to
Um,
be one.
she just. But in this, they don't portray her as like, I'm gonna kill that pawnbroker. She's just more like gobsmacked, right? Just
Yeah, yeah.
speechless. Just wanders off to the lift, and then Miss Pulteney's like, "Oh, please wait. I'm just going for my lunch." And she strides in, stands next to her in the full mink. So it all becomes apparent, which is a wonderful reveal, right? And then we get that shot of them both in the lift, and it cuts. It does like cut jumps, doesn't it? Further and further away from the
Yeah,
lift, you just see the
yeah.
pair of them. Miss Pulteney sort of standing there, looking reasonably happy, and Julie Harris looking really sick.
Mm.
It's
And
great.
what could she say? What could
Yeah,
she say? Right?
it's a
um,
great sort of double-edged sword that they're both cheating on
yeah.
each other, both thinking they're cleverer than the other partner, and both of them have been duped completely
Yes.
throughout. Yeah.
Yes. So for me, this was a particularly solid one. Yes. Okay.
I'd
Did
put
we
this in
get
as
to? I
my
know that.
second favorite out of the four. I
What
would
was your
say.
first favourite, Stephen? I can't
We haven't
remember.
got to it yet.
Oh, okay. The next one is William and Mary. And they're dramatised by Ronald Harwood, who did, as I mentioned, everyone except Man from the South. He dramatised all of these. Aired on the 7th of April 1979. So around Easter time, probably. I don't really
Yeah,
know.
it must have been. Yeah.
Um, and this is basically Elaine Stritch. It's a it's not quite just a double header because there's some stuff with Elaine Stritch character, Mary Pearl, and
Mm.
the solicitor, isn't there? There's some stuff with
Yeah.
that. But we kind of see that her emerge from a hospital room and a nurse quickly usher her out into a sort of side room, probably to comfort her. But then we see all this sketchy stuff of nurses wheeling out this man and taking him somewhere.
Mm.
Didn't need to see any of this, in my
I'd
opinion.
forgotten that, and I don't think it
Yeah.
was necessary,
It
mate.
wasn't
Yeah.
necessary.
No.
Um, but then it turns out it's Elaine Stritch and she's kind of hasn't been left much. And we get the impression that her husband, wasn't the best
Yeah.
person to be married to. I had a little trouble with this because from the written story, Mary is much more mousy, and submissive
Hmm.
and passive, and you understand how she's been oppressed. I find it really hard to see Elaine Stritch as anyone as oppressed.
Yes,
Though I
that
think
just
she
wasn't
did
her,
it.
was it? As a
It's not her
character,
thing.
as
Yeah.
a person.
Uh, it's hard for her to convey that as an actress. She's not that kind of. She doesn't do that kind of thing in anything else I've ever seen her in.
Yeah.
So I found it a bit miscast. Was my problem with it. However, on the second watch, was seeing things that kind of showed her ability to try and put that through.
Oh, she goes full Elaine Stritch in the last scene,
The
basically.
last
She
scene, yeah,
doesn't
that
she
worked.
becomes Elaine Stritch that we know
Mhm.
and love. So yeah, I think that's in a way, it probably does work as casting. It does seem as if it's a miscast that Elaine Stritch is playing
Indeed.
this put upon wife, but for her to become the wife at the end, I don't want to give it away at the moment because I don't know how much you're going to reveal, but it works perfectly. That it's Elaine Stritch. It's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't put a spoiler warnings up on this because it's 45 years old,
Excellent.
frankly. So don't really care if
Okay.
people are listening to this and they haven't seen it. Yeah.
Go and
Yeah,
watch it.
too late now. Yeah.
Having said that, watching it a second time, it's just as joyful. There's kind of because there's more to see and you know what's coming. You get the joy in the because there's little touches throughout that kind of made me laugh. Especially in Land to the Slaughter. Actually, there's loads in it.
Yeah.
But William and Mary, there's little touches throughout. There was a little touch in this that I didn't notice the first time. The second time I made off, where she starts to realise what she's got in her hands right near the end, and she's just little smirk comes on her face. It's like that. So essentially, um, William, who she thinks has died of something terminal, has had his brain put into a box and one of his eyes just looking up at the ceiling with his prescription of his glasses as well. Yeah, that's what he's
Yes.
saying.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Now this was definitely different from the written story. The written story is almost all a letter explaining all the what's happened to him, to her.
Right.
So she basically, I'd say 90% of the story is the written letter, and then she goes and sees the doctor and then says, "Can I bring him out?" No, she doesn't even get to that. She does ask to bring him out, and she says it's impossible. But it kind of ends with her just looking out. Because he's told her not to smoke, her looking over, but she's smoking, and she gets a reaction from the ECG thing, and
Oh,
that
right.
makes her smile to herself. And I
Right.
can't wait to get you home. Is how it ends there. They go full
Yeah.
delivery in this story, which is probably right. I don't know. They could have done it either way, really.
Mm.
But yes. So this is you know we do get Dr. Landy having an extended scene with her too, but really it's Elaine Stritch's show. This one, really, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's her all the way through, slowly conveying what a dick her husband was and how controlling he was. I like the final line. The final line where she smirks, she goes, "Oh yes, and you can have the phone cut off because I will no longer be needing it." Is
Yes.
and
Yeah.
that's what? No, that's not the final line. That's she's talking to the solicitor. He's reading out a letter, and she looks at the solicitor and says, "He really loved me, didn't he?"
Yeah, I think that
um,
saying about getting the phone cut off, that's where it's the in the will, because implying that, she's got no life to actually have where she'd need to have contact. And obviously that's how she's been kept by him, that,
Mm.
she's basically there for him, and without him, she might as well be walled up in his tomb like the ancient pharaohs. But yeah, I think the difficulty with this episode is that it's not that it's bad. It's no, it's not my favorite. This is my least favorite out of the four. But um, I think that the tone and the subject matter are more befitting for something like Outer Limits than it is for
Yes.
maybe what goes in the run, or even subsequently with the Tales of the Unexpected.
uh,
And you saying
yeah,
about how the actual original story is explains a bit, because this does feel like the actual action and what's happening, they've padded it out with, you know, exposition really that probably
yeah,
was, as you say, in a letter. And the twist, as it were, it isn't as satisfactory and isn't as apparent. I mean, the twist is really what happens with him as far as he's still alive, in a sense. It's
Mm.
not that so much of a twist how she then reacts to that.
Mm.
Whereas the other out of the four, they feel like they've got more of that twist in there, and you're suddenly going, "Oh, right, that's a change in what I was expecting for the story." This kind of just plays out as you would expect once you find out he's still alive and how oppressed she's been. So it's
yeah.
it's slightly
Sh-
less satisfactory in that sense, even though if it had been done as an outer limits, it might have been more befitting.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of agree. I think Elaine Switch, there could have possibly been other actresses where this
Mm,
worked better.
yeah.
But having said that, on the rewatch, I kind of saw more of her performance trying to convey in how she spoke and her gestures. And we got these weird little flashes of her husband, like in a full Don's outfit and berating her in the park. I feel like they might have filmed more and then cut it or something.
Mm.
I'm not quite sure. I do like the ultimate in decadence was smoking, drinking, putting on makeup, putting on a flash dress in her own home, and watching Speedway. And watching
Yeah,
Speedway,
Speedway of all things.
Speedway of all
Yeah.
things. Yeah,
that
Speedway.
did make
Yeah,
me laugh. I presume that was about the lowest they could go with. What's something we don't have to pay for? We could put on the telly.
yeah.
It was
Interestingly,
Speedway.
this is the only one out of the four that isn't also a Alfred Hitchcock um, episode.
Oh,
Yeah,
wasn't redone
Uh,
or done
no,
previously. Yeah.
I thought it was.
not
Um,
that I can find out, but if you make,
I could have
I'd always
sworn it
take correction from
was.
you, Mark.
I'm just
So
having a quick look. And it doesn't say so anywhere, but I thought I'd read it was. But yeah, I could see why. Um, I have to recall, I do recall first time I saw this, probably because I'm watching a lot of sci-fi and stuff like that, is I was expecting like you to see something on his desk start rattling, like he'd suddenly got psychic powers or something like
Mm.
that.
hmm,
But no, it doesn't go that far. But because I've watched Donovan's Brain and things
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting it to go that way. But yeah, it was an okay one. This for me, this was the weakest of the four, but I still
yeah,
think it's a very good episode. I really still enjoyed
agreed,
it quite a lot.
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Okay, that brings us to Scott's favourite.
and mine,
Yeah. The
and
more I
Lamb
mine.
was,
to,
yeah.
Lamb to the Slaughter. Uh, story. The written story is much more linear. It's an A to Z. Um, whereas this uses flashbacks and, might I say, very effectively, in my opinion. I
Yes.
think it's quite a good change. Main characters in this, the notable actors in this, are Susan George as Mary. He likes Mary, doesn't he? As a name, rather.
I had to
Um,
go back and check that it wasn't Mary in all four because I realised there was at least two in
to
these.
Mary. And
Something
Brian
about
Blessed.
Mary.
Yeah, there is. And Brian Blessed as Jack. No, Jack. Basically, we also get her husband in it, played by Michael Byrne, who I think is more of a stage actor, but I've definitely seen him in other stuff. But
Do
I
you know
think
what? I had
movies
to
maybe.
remember. I think we saw him, guys, on Real Britannia in the Name of the Father recently.
Hmm.
Okay, I think he
Um,
was one of the Nazis in one of the Indiana Jones
he's
films as
in
well.
in Last Crusade, and he's
Right,
also one of the English soldiers in Braveheart. Had quite a prominent role in
Braveheart. Okay.
Braveheart as well. Yeah,
So I knew the face, but
mm,
not that well.
yeah,
Whereas Brian Blessed and Susan George, I
yeah.
knew. I like Brian Blessed in this. He's toned it down, and it really
Yeah.
works well. He's more Z cards mode than.
That's exactly what I
Mm,
thought.
yeah,
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, Z cars. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I mean Brian Blessed is a great actor. I mean, if you watch I Claudius, you'll
yes,
see what a great actor he is. But he kind of likes going big, doesn't he? I mean, Six
yeah.
Flash Gordon, pretty much.
Blusters. Yeah,
That's
I do
about
think
it.
he's maligned as or characterized as being just bombastic rather than
mm,
him actually having behind that the talent.
Yeah,
I mean, he's classically trained. I mean, let's not forget that him and Patrick Stewart were our close friends, and you know went through their schooling together as far as acting.
oh, I didn't know
So,
that.
so
Okay.
yeah, I mean, and both been Yorkshire, help probably help bond them. But yeah, they're and obviously different characters in a number of ways. But yeah, I think he's underrated as an actor because of having that bombasticness. That particularly since Flash Gordon, he was just seen as character rather than
Blackadder
um,
first season.
yeah
Black.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, that as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, he helps you keep your Yorkshire card in this
Well,
episode,
this is
doesn't he?
it. Yeah, it ticks the box there.
Got to keep Stephen happy, Mark, haven't we?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I thought Susan George did a good job. I mean, she's not the best actress, but I think she was pretty good in this.
Yeah.
and delivered well. And also, I've got to just talk about old Roald Dahl's intro where he says he got the idea from Ian Fleming, which is fine. We
Mm.
know that they were colleagues in wartime and friends after that. Where he says Ian Fleming made a comment about this land must have been in the deep freeze so long she'd forgotten about it or something like that because it was a
Yeah.
piece of puff meat. But apparently, Ian Fleming also just fully suggested the idea I've read elsewhere, which is
I've
why
read
don't you
elsewhere,
have
yeah.
someone hit, and then the
Yeah,
detectives eat the
I heard it
evidence.
was a discussion on how would you create the perfect murder, and I think they both came up with certain
Oh,
yes.
well,
ideas, and then
yeah,
yeah, but not how he describes it. Roald Dahl describes it at the
yeah.
beginning of this. I'd never heard it described that way
No,
before.
but
Yeah.
he does credit Ian Fleming with coming up with the
Mm.
original, is the basis for this. So, he gives him due credit at the beginning. Um, Essentially, it starts with her going out, coming back and discovering her husband dead and being traumatized. So, as far as the viewers are concerned, she's just found a dead husband, and then the case develops, and we see her talking, and then we get flashbacks, don't we, of her talking because she's telling what happened to Brian Blessed. She's
She doesn't
talking.
call 999. She rings the detective's desk because her
Yeah,
husband, it gets revealed the husband's a police
editor.
officer or
So,
whatever.
which makes perfect sense to me.
It has to be to make the plot work because
Yeah,
they have to be aware of her, who she is, and who her husband is,
yeah,
and friends rather than just investigating detectives on the scene. I think that's
yeah.
Mm.
essential for this to work. That she
But I think
rings them
that's
directly.
that is not a leap in any way. I believe a woman
Yeah,
who knows detectives, local detectives, would phone them rather
yeah,
than 999.
yeah.
It just makes sense to me. Um, and Brian Bess is obviously the lead detective in the place, or he's basically appears to be senior to the other guys,
Hmm.
and he's like saying, well, "Get prints," and they're checking stories, and then she says, "Oh yeah, I went out to get veg." Now, eventually, I'm trying to guess whether it was like just before the ads, there'll be adverts halfway through or just after. We
Hmm.
do see she clocks him when he starts to reveal there's someone else
Yeah.
called Barbara for some reason.
Hmm.
And I felt like I had to tell you, she's got this frozen leg of lamb out for their dinner, and she basically hits him over the head with it. Right. Now, where that
And it should be
happened, I don't
mentioned
know.
she's pregnant as well, though, because she mentions about the baby kicking, and
Oh yes,
he says, "Oh, I know it's not the best time
yeah, ain't the best
to be
time,
telling
mate.
you this." So she's, she's there is that, especially back in the 70s when the ability for women to be able to be single mothers, but also actually, earn a wage and etc. It was always going to be harder.
Yeah,
And so the betrayal there when she's carrying his baby is ramped up. And I think that's an important part of it to actually increase why she would be driven to murder. Not that I mean, he's a git in a way. I think just from the way he's a
yeah.
serial. From what his colleagues say, he's a serial womanizer.
Oh yeah,
But
because one of the detectives says, "Do you think a woman could have done it?" Which is like, and then
Yes.
there's a musical cue like, dun, 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 or something like that. And what do you, okay,
it
so
says, "Oh, he was a
he
bit
was a
Jack,
bit,
a Jack the Lad." I think
yeah,
was yeah.
yeah. And because, and they basically work out the frame of time frame was her going to the shops and coming back.
Mm.
So someone must have been waiting to do it or something. That's
But
their reason.
the implement that's done it is to bludgeon him. Is something so weighty. It's not something somebody would have been carrying around with them. So it must be something still in the actual house.
Yeah, because one of
Um,
them says it must still be his Sarge. And actually, the one of the detectives or the forensics guy was quite clever. He sort of said, "Well, it must have had a handle because this would have needed a good swing.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it needs a sort of good solid handle. That's what they're looking for." Um, Indeed, but she's put it in the oven anyway. Before she went off to the shops, and by 9:30 at night, it's finally cooked. That's a late tea, isn't it? that's a late dinner.
Well, they're supposed to go out, don't they? Thursdays is their day to go out to the
Yeah,
Chinese, isn't it? So,
yeah. And she says, let do something, put something, because the bloke serving her mentions it, doesn't he? And sort of says, oh, you should go out for a Chinese on a Thursday. She says, oh, no, before we stay in. And I'll have some broccoli and potatoes. Offers a bit of lemon. The lemon
Yeah.
cheesecake must have influenced me because I actually went shopping yesterday and bought a lemon cheesecake. And
not a leg of lamb, no.
not a leg of lamb. Got a joint of beef, but I could have got a leg of lamb. And I had a lemon curd on some toast this morning. How about
Oh,
that? So
see,
this one
got
massively influenced me in deep
subliminal,
from a
yeah,
And he
fundamental way.
wants to say he's not influenced by these things, but he's sat in a mink coat at the moment. So.
Full makeup, yeah.
Speedway on his
Watching
and he's
headset.
Speedway,
and he's missing his little finger.
yeah.
So, but yes, I think in this it's obviously takes longer to cook because it's been come from frozen, but
Mm,
he mocks the her and her liking of her frozen, well, a freezer. He makes some caustic comment about you and your freezer or something over or the
Oh
precious.
yeah, you love that phrase.
Yeah,
yeah,
Freezers were
um,
freezers a new thing then,
I
or
think
when
it was.
maybe when it was written, it
He
might.
makes the thing about buying it for her, and then when
Yes,
you see it, it's a chest freezer, isn't it? That's down in the cellar.
yeah,
So it's a lot. It might be made to be a thing because it's quite a large one, rather than probably had an ice box or something previously.
it's
It's
been a
a
struggle to get
freezer.
down there anyway, wasn't it?
Mm.
yeah,
But yeah, so it's ironic that he mocks her for loving the freezer, and he doesn't love her, and therefore the freezer is part of his downfall.
So the thing is,
yeah.
as well, when this was written in the 50s, and the Hitchcock one is Barbara Bel Geddes, isn't it? I think in the original,
Yeah,
that
from
makes more
Dallas, yeah,
sense. Yeah, makes more sense. A freezer being a novelty, a
yeah.
luxury item,
Yes.
doesn't transpose as well as you say into the 79 version. So,
Yeah. Um, but it's okay.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
the plot totally works, and you can kind of see that. It might be. I don't know. It might have been a bit of a rarity by the late '70s. Still,
yeah.
I don't know.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I also I think they could have had a few lines in there that would have made her chuckle near the end even better, which is, "How am I going to
mm.
live?" And he would have said, "Well, he died, you know, working. You'll get his full pension."
Get a
And
police
then
pension,
walk
yeah.
off. And
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh," you know.
Is there any indication, obviously, before he sits down and has his whiskey and starts telling her, about the other woman and all this lot? Because for me, the whole thing after she struck him with the frozen leg of lamb, instantly she knows that she's got to make this work by appearing to carry on as if nothing's happened.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like looks in the mirror and says, "Darling, I'm just going to go to the shops," and then she
yeah. She
acts out what she's
practices,
going to
doesn't?
say,
Yeah,
doesn't she?
yeah,
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 and
yeah.
it's like, do you reckon she might have secretly been knowing this may happen at some point because it all seems very rehearsed? She
Well,
Possibly.
knows.
a couple of weeks beforehand, she had dinner with Roald Dahl and Ian Fleming, and
Got the idea. Yeah,
Yeah, the way she plays it is a total shot. She's almost in shock before she
yeah,
hits him, right? So yeah, she could have anticipated it if he's a bit of
mm,
a lad,
yeah,
possibly, and she had an idea he was.
yeah,
Um, you know, in this that when this was made, women what it was much harder to walk away from a bad marriage, wasn't it? So, and
yeah,
if you're pregnant too. That's hard.
yeah,
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it could have been hoping it would work out, but kind of expecting it not to, and then this happened. But basically, she snapped. She wasn't, I think this was a crime of passion entirely,
mm,
um, rather than anything pre-planned. But she
yeah.
may have been bottling up fear about it, and that fed into the action in the
But
end,
it's
right?
very clever the way that her actions following the death of the husband contribute solidly to her getting away with it. She does
yeah,
it
Yeah,
perfectly, without any fault whatsoever. Even to the point where
And
she's peeling the potatoes later, as if she's acting distracted, and
yeah,
and Brian Blessed, put those down. You're obviously not thinking straight. It's all there. She's very clever the way she acts out
And
throughout the whole
saying
thing.
it'll be a consolation for her that it hasn't gone to waste. It won't be there as a reminder for her and stuff if they
yeah,
ate it. And
Yeah,
it's a thank you for them being so caring and giving her
because they
support
are
and
friends as
etc.
well. That's the thing. It
Yeah,
has to work that they're friends and they know her and her husband.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
how it works. Can I also point out if Jonathan Creek was in the room, he would have solved it within seconds.
yeah.
Or Sherlock,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's a typical sort of Jonathan Creek scenario almost, isn't it? The perfect murder. You know.
yeah.
Well, it's been
Um,
reused as subsequently in a number of different forms. I think this premise, obviously it was originated from a different sense, but and was done, as you say, um, Alfred Hitchcock.
Mm.
But yeah, I think there's a number of ways in which this idea of having something frozen. I mean, there's
Also,
things about
Sherlock Holmes has got a frozen bullet, hasn't it?
yeah.
A frozen like arrow, isn't it? I think they
Yeah,
use in Sherlock.
I think there's a somebody being stabbed with a frozen ice pick or something
Yeah.
over and other things like that. And there's people who were, put on. There's the thing about a suicide where somebody, how did they manage to get themselves up onto the noose and all that's in the room is just a
Pool of
pool of
water.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
So there's a
yeah,
number of ways in which this ice thing is or frozen things has been used, but in this making getting it out of sympathy, the officers eating the evidence, and you even get right at the closing scene of the officer coming back into the room, and you
Yeah.
think for a moment, has he twigged?
Yep.
But no, he's just coming to actually clear
Tidy up.
straight. It's just tidy up and scrape it into the bin because he realizes
yeah.
it's been left. And
Uh,
her smile while she's listening to them banter.
Talking about yeah,
Um,
it must still be here. It must still be here.
yeah,
Oh, this is delicious.
yeah.
Yeah, all that, it was and a chuckling to herself.
Yeah.
Yes, she
Interestingly,
can crochet, can't she, Susan George?
oh
Did you
yeah,
notice she was
oh
doing
yeah, she's
really
got
well with that?
quite a skill at it.
Wow. Yeah.
Interestingly, in the Hitchcock one, because obviously back then the production codes were, and TV codes and etc. Still people, none of the murderers in the Alfred Hitchcock TV series that got away with it, even if they did in the actual episode. The after speech always had to clarify that they didn't actually get away with it. And in this one, um, he's, it says that she went on to marry again and decided to try and kill her second husband in the same way, but unfortunately, a plumber had unplugged the freezer, so the joint wasn't frozen and only injured him, didn't kill him. Um,
Well,
so
isn't that because back then, wasn't it, the murderer couldn't be seen to be getting away with
Yeah.
something?
exactly,
Is that
yeah,
what it was? Yes, they had to
yeah.
tack that on at the end, didn't they? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that feels totally in uh, Hitchcock's wheelhouse. That kind
Oh
of
God, yeah, yeah.
idea. Yeah, yeah. I feel like Hitchcock and Roald Dahl were just a would have perfect. It's a perfect match of
Yeah,
macabre like
soulmates.
in a bit of
Yeah,
comedy. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So this is both of your favourites, right?
Yeah.
And
Of the
I
four.
don't
Mm,
disagree with that at all. I totally see why that is.
mm.
It's just for me, Man from the South is just much more iconic. I remember it more. I had a little trouble remembering this, but as soon as I started watching it, it all came back to me. I have to say, the original story, it's really close to the original story, apart from reframing it in terms of flashback scenes.
Yeah.
So they did it did a good job reorganizing this, and it feels better for the reorganization
I uh,
from a viewer point of view, right?
I agree. I mean, I do like the Hitchcock one. It's not done badly, and there are a few elements of it that do feel like um, that they are better. But there's also bits in this that are better, and I do think one of those major bits about why this is has an element that's better than the Hitchcock one is that changing the way the story is told with the flashbacks and stuff. I think that does improve it. And maybe in the 50s they weren't able to cope with that as easy and follow it. But certainly, I think that helps lift this one up. And I'm not saying the other ones are bad because they aren't. They're all four of them are good in different ways. But I do, yeah, I think this one just pips the others because it just feels more complete and as you say, you remember Man from the South is iconic, but this one, I do think, in a similar way, actually strikes the same chord for me.
Yeah. What struck me about this one also is it's really lean.
Mm.
It couldn't have less, and it doesn't need more. Let's put it that way. It's perfect within its time space.
Carved back to the bone.
Oh,
Yeah,
well done.
yeah. Lots of lean. Yeah,
They
yeah.
didn't
No,
even
no
have to
fat
go.
on it. Yeah,
They didn't even have to go to the greengrocers. They didn't have to show that scene. They could have kept it all as one setting if needed, to make it even leaner. Um, but I think sometimes you do need that little distraction to sort of highlight the meticulous thinking that she was doing to make the alibi stick.
yeah. Now I did mention earlier in this episode that in this one in particular, there's these little sort of macabre comedy ref beats,
Mm.
and they're throughout what the men say. Where's the way? But I did like the greengrocer sort of implying he fancies her. He says, well, you
Always a
can't blame
pleasure.
me,
Yeah.
can you? Can't
Oh,
blame me, can you?
yeah, just
Although he's
tidied
quite
up.
polite to her and, very helpful and offers the cheesecake, because he knows
Yeah.
her husband likes cheesecake and all that. Um, that was a
But it's
big
interesting
cheesecake.
that when he is talking to the policeman, he has to try and backtrack and because it, trading laws, obviously, at the time, he wasn't allowed to open up to server technically, and he did actually reopen
Yeah.
his shop to server. And he says, "Oh, you can't have me for that, surely."
You
And
can't
that's
blame me for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And
it's
then there's the comment afterwards, isn't it, that Blessed says to one of the other detectives, they've spoken to the greengrocer and all the timings tally up with what she says,
Yeah.
which also means that there may have been a bit of doubt thinking about her story, saying, hang on, the timings might not have been what she's telling us,
But
but they are.
I think that's being detective-y though, rather than doubting
Mm,
her. That's just
yeah.
checking everything lines up.
Yeah.
And they're saying, "Is there any other prints?" Because no, it's just her, his, and
I think
hers.
that I
That's
think the
it.
checking I think that comment about checking the times of the greengrocer,
Mm.
I think I think that's more misogyny that they're doubting that she's got the times right because she's just a silly pregnant woman who doesn't,
Yeah.
and so they're having to get corroboration from
Oh
the
yeah, it could be
the
that. Yeah.
greengrocer to say, yeah, it really was that time because the greengrocer says it won't.
Uh,
She hasn't. We managed to work out she hadn't just got it wrong because she's too silly to be able to read a clock.
Yes, 1979 after all, isn't
Exactly. Yeah.
it?
Yes. Okay, I think we can kind of wind up. I will say that I believe at least a few of the people in these episodes do appear in other episodes. Um,
They
I think
do.
Julie
Yeah.
Harris appears in a later one in this series, for example.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
But I think Elaine
Elaine Stritch does
Stritch
as well.
is in a
She's
few. Yeah,
one where I seem to remember her and her husband are listening in to some house guests on some planted microphones, if that's the correct episode, I
Yeah.
think to remember. But yeah, there's a number of them that do appear in, and to be fair, that's a trope, not just with Alfred Hitchcock, but some other series. You get these players that come back, but in this, yeah, they do have repeated and including intent the same series. So I mean, now Joan Collins, I think in future series, I think she's
That's in
in
the first
two or
season. That's
two or
Neck.
three.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. There's some good ones coming up in the rest of this series. The rest of the season.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Interestingly,
There are
nine seasons in all, but they were wildly different in terms of number of episodes per season. So there's nine in series one, but there's
nine. Yeah, where we've
16.
heard where we've heard nine before.
Yeah, whoa, whoa. But there's 16 in series two, but then it goes down. I think the highest is series five with 18, but then in series eight is only four, and then series nine is
Yeah.
10. It's just all over the place in terms
Yeah.
of. It depends whatever they were commissioned for, I guess. And we know that it probably diminishes because less and less are Roald Dahl stories, original stories used. Other writers come in and stuff like that.
Mm.
And it's because he's written short stories are so strong. It's going to be noticeable when it's not him. I'm sure. I'm sure
But
of it.
I've been rewatching over the last couple of years, ever since we got together, Mark, to do the first one all those years ago, and I
Yeah.
started sort of not binge watching, but every now and again I'd do two or three now and again, and I've got up to about season seven, season eight,
Okay.
and there
How
are
are you
some
finding
crackers.
them?
There's
They're
some
still
crackers in
crackers,
there that,
right?
yeah, but then the same with anything, and like we've said this before, you're going to get bad episodes in all these seasons, but then you'll always pick two or three that are like, yeah, that's made it
That's
worthwhile.
that,
Yeah,
that's the great thing about anthology shows, right?
yeah, yeah,
You'll always find a cracker and
yeah.
some duff ones.
Some real duff ones, yeah,
To be
yeah,
honest, I have held off watching this since we did. Since that 2020 episode, I've held
yeah,
off watching the rest because I was thinking, no, I want to save it till we talk about it. But I've got to be honest, once we've done the second part of series one
yep.
on this show, I will just watch the rest because
Start
we'll
going
be going
through.
on to other things. We may come back to say series two at some point, but
Yeah,
I don't feel a need to sort of stop myself watching them. And
it's
they
hit and
are
miss.
just,
Yeah,
they're just so short and perfect. Do they maintain 25 minutes or
yep.
so for all
Pretty
the ones
much
you've
because of
watched?
the because of the commercial break or whatever in the middle.
Yeah.
Most of these things
They
end
never
up.
went to an hour because some shows have done
Yeah,
that, like Night
we
Gallery, for example, that
yeah.
went from an hour to half an hour. But this, I feel like half an hour, 25 minutes is
It's
pretty
great.
perfect
It's
for this sort of
perfect. Yeah,
thing.
as I say, if you watch four of them together, like you and I did you watch all four together, Stephen, or did you do them separately, mate?
And no, I did. I did. I think one, and then two, and then one, just
Yeah,
because of time available to me.
yeah,
But absolutely, you could watch them. You could spend a whole night just watching them back to back because of the variation that's in with them. Because
yep,
they're even if you're not, if it's an episode that doesn't catch you, because the storyline just isn't the genre you like, or if it is one of the subsequent ones that might not be as great a quality. You've only got 25 minutes and then it's gone, and you can, the next one's there before you know it.
yeah.
So I do think that there's and again, that shortness of an episode is an inside number nine thing. They could have quite easily got away with doing hour-long versions, but that snappiness, which relates to
Hmm.
short stories, is more difficult but also more engaging. But yeah, there's some subsequent series, not seasons, series, is there's some crackers in there that I know. There's there's one with Eli
Eli Wallach,
Wallach. Yeah,
is
Wallach.
that? Is that?
But yeah,
yeah.
that is one of my favorite ones. I mean, that's not until I think series four or five. But that is a very condensed one. It's just two people in a room, but it's very clever, and
That's
obviously
a
it helps having him in
brilliant
it.
one.
But it is one of my favorites. That when occasionally, I'm talking about tales of the unexpected to people, and they make jokes because as we say, it has become a bit of a jokey thing. Um, that's one of the ones you say, well, no, you watch that, you'll see that what the quality was in these things. And I think, a couple of the ones that we've just covered, they also would be ones you could say to somebody, right, well, yeah, yes, some Tales of the Unexpected later on, yes, they were a bit naff, but this is what it was when it was good.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. One thing I will just say again about the guy that adapted most of it didn't do Man from the South, but Ronald Harwood, who did the other three, I feel he's well matched to the material. He's adding bits of business that vibe very well with what is intended, what Roald Dahl intended. So he feels like he's doing a good job, which is and it's nice to know. Oh no, I was wrong. Sorry. There's Ronald Harwood does some, and Robin Chapman does other. Robin Chapman did Lamb to the Shore, and he does a few of the others. So Robin Chapman in particular seemed to be a good. What he did with Lamb to the Slaughter was very good. So he's one to watch for in some of the later ones, I think.
yeah. I think he wrote a few of the Jeremy Brett, Sherlock Holmes, things like that. He was,
Oh, they're great.
yeah.
Mm.
I don't think he
Okay.
did many, but he definitely contributed to some of the casebook of Sherlock Holmes. I think it was that particular season.
Yeah.
Um, and he did. I don't know if you covered it in anthology in like your previous sort of anthology series. There was one called Villains, TV series called Villains with Bob Hoskins and other guys.
No, I haven't covered that one. I didn't know.
I don't know if
Wasn't
that's
aware of that one.
is
Is
it an
that another one? Is that another
I
one?
don't know if it's an anthology actually. I know it sort of takes there's six main characters and it takes the bit like Boys in the Black stuff. Each episode takes a focus on the
No,
characters.
that it doesn't
I,
quite
yeah, I
No,
think that's
I'm
a
afraid.
different,
another
a
genre, isn't
different
it?
way. Yeah, it is. I think obviously it can appeal to um, the people who like anthology shows, but I think
Yeah,
that's more in the difference between Inside Number Nine and Psychoville, where
mm,
there's that concentration
yeah,
on it. Although there's an interlink, it's the telling of the stories, and it's same as what
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
not
know
really our brief.
what they did with like you know Pulp Fiction, for example, and other ones like that, where they're separate stories, but they're all told in the main. But yeah, so yeah, I think that there's obviously ones to watch out for, and the people who've been involved in this, the market you said, as far as other people, that what they've, um, how they fitted with this. I think you're right to say we need to keep an eye on. They might well be part of the tracker for be able to say some of the subsequent tales of the unexpected, which ones are the good ones. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. That's great. Right. Well, wind down there. Tell us about Real Britannia.
I'll hand you over to Stephen for this one.
Right. Well, it's exploration of British cinema. And we don't mean like the European down the road, we mean the films. And we cover anything that is British cinema, even some of the stuff that we say is British international that might have be filmed abroad or have more of that epic status. But
Hmm.
we like to try and not only highlight some of the stuff that people expect, the Hammers, the James Bond carry-ons, etc. But we want to delve into also some of the stuff that's unknown, and we don't have any massive uh, way of documenting it in a structured way. It's just what we feel we want to see.
Yeah,
Um, and we do like to be able to point out that some of the strengths of British cinema and what that has led on to and influenced elsewhere, as well as within itself as a formula, and how it's grown. And particularly, we like to highlight some of the actors and actresses who, some of which are the most popular ones that we see, are the ones whose names you will not know, and that's why we try to highlight them in our own small way with our Village Hall of Fame.
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
it's in it's a nice little journey through British cinema, and we, one week we can be doing a 1930s black and white comedy, and the next week we can be doing some gritty drama that was put out in the 80s, and in between that have a Hammer or a kitchen sink. And also it's supplemented by Scott doing some mini documentary explorations of certain things, including the saucy 70s.
Oh yes.
Here we go. Here we go.
Wow, it's become a bit of an obsession, really. I don't want to dwell on it
Scott's
too much.
obsessed with the Saucy
It's an
70s
excuse
for
for him
any
to be buying
listeners.
all those DVDs, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm not going to comment, lads. You comment enough on it.
Okay, we'll leave that where it is. So, thank you so much for coming on again. It's
Thanks
a
for
real
having
joy
us.
to have you
Mm,
along on
thank
phase
you.
two, and our next one will probably be the second of these of this series one of Tales of the Unexpected. Why not? It seems sensible
Yes,
to just
let's
continue with that.
keep on a
So,
roll.
so
Mm,
thank you so much for coming on.
thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Right, so that winds up this episode. But before I go, may I ask, is anybody out there?